What's going on, everybody? In this video, I want to talk about something called the vertical line test. And this is similar for the test that we use to determine whether or not an equation could be written as a function, in the sense that we're going to be testing whether or not one input goes to one output. But we're going to do it graphically. That's what the vertical line test. The vertical line test is basically something that you can apply to any graph of a function and determine very easily whether or not it actually is a function. So I'm going to show you some examples of how we apply that. Okay, so the first example that I'm going to talk about is the function y is equal to x minus 3 squared, that whole quantity squared. So the graph of this function is going to look like this if we plot it in the xy plane. So recall that for something to be a function, each input that you put in there can only give you one output. You cannot put in the same input and get two different outputs. That's what disqualifies an equation from becoming a function. So the way that you test that using the vertical line test is you draw a series of vertical lines through the graph and see how many times it actually crosses the graph. So when I draw a vertical line here, I can see it intersects at one place, so we're still good. I draw another vertical line down, see it still only intersects that vertical line in one place. And as you notice, every time I draw a vertical line down at any point, it's only going to cross the graph one time for each vertical line set. So whenever this is the case, when you only have one intersection for each vertical line you draw, then this thing is a function. So y is equal to x minus 3 squared is a function, because this is what we would call passing the vertical line test. And so let's say that I had this function here. I have x is equal to negative absolute value of 4 minus y. So again, what the vertical line test tells us is whether or not a single input produces multiple outputs. If it does, then that's how we know that this thing is not a function. And the reason that it's in a vertical line is because our x values are the inputs, and whenever we have a vertical line, that designates the entire scope of y values that can happen with a single input value. So if I draw a vertical line through this function, let's just say right here, notice what happens. It actually crosses through the graph more than once. And likewise, if I draw a vertical line right here, it crosses the graph multiple times once again. So this would tell us that this is not a function. So x is equal to negative absolute value of 4 minus y is not a function. Because it fails the vertical line test. So again, if you have more than one intersection with this vertical line test, then it fails. And it only has to happen once. So only one vertical line that you draw through this thing, as long as it has more than one output, the entire equation is not a function. So hope this video was helpful. This is just a really quick kind of overview of this test to see if an equation that you're dealing with is a function or not. So again, it fails if it hits the graph more than once. It passes if it only hits it once. So I hope this video was helpful, and stay tuned for the next one. Take care, everybody.